Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible. Can someone confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Welcome to week 9's TA session for drug delivery principles and engineering. Before we proceed, this entire session is being recorded and will be uploaded on YouTube. Also, the presentation that I'll be discussing today will be shared over Google Drive to you guys. I'll be now sharing my screen. Let me know if you guys can see the screen. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. So these are the topics that were covered in the last week. That is immune and blood response to materials, which included immune system, complement system and blood clotting and hemocompatibility of materials, adaptive immune response and vaccine. And let's start with the assignment questions. This is the first question. Which of the following options represent the correct chronology of events in inflammation? Options are vasodilation, edema, influx of leukocytes, clearance, healing. Vasodilation, influx of leukocytes, edema, clearance, healing. Vasodilation, edema, clearance, influx of leukocytes, healing. An influx of leukocytes, vasodilation, edema, clearance, healing. Vasodilation, influx of leukocytes, clearance, healing, edema. An influx of leukocytes, edema, vasodilation, clearance, healing. Vasodilation, edema, influx of leukocytes, healing, clearance. An influx of leukocytes, vasodilation, edema, clearance, and healing. Which is the correct chronology of events in inflammation?
The second option.
Second option, okay. Anyone else?
Fourth option, madam.
Fourth option, okay. Anyone else? What is the correct chronology of events in inflammation? Anyone else has any other option other than second and fourth?
Madam, it seems that fourth option and last option are same.
Fourth and last option. Uh, yes, yes. Yeah, it's the same. I think there was some mistake in the. Did you guys had the same question in your assignment as well? This kind of similar options. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Anyways, even though these are the same options, the correct option is first option: vasodilation, then edema, then influx of leukocytes, clearance, and healing. So these are the chronology. First, vasodilation, that is the increase in diameter of the capillaries and redness will happen. That will be followed by increase in capillary permeability, that is influx of protein-rich fluid cells, exudates, that will lead to edema, that is swelling and pain. And this will be followed by influx of leukocytes and phagocytic cells into the tissue. This will be followed by healing or tissue regeneration, that is formation of new capillaries and scar tissue. So the correct option would be first option. Now the next question. The three arms of the complement cascade converge at a protein complex known as C5 convertase, C3 convertase, C5a, C3a, C3b, C1q, C8, C or C9.
Ma'am, option 2, C3 convertase.
Okay. Yes, others?
Option 2.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, option 2 is the correct option. So these are the three main pathways: the classical pathway, the alternative pathway, and the lectin mediated pathway. And all of these converge at C3 convertase. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following approach can be employed to reduce complement activation on a biomaterial surface? You have to select two correct options. Reduce surface electrophiles, reduce surface nucleophiles, binding to C5b protein of the complement cascade, binding to C3a protein of the complement cascade, heparin adsorption to the surface, adsorption of C3 convertase agonist, coat surface with fibrin.
Option 2 and 4.
Okay. Anyone else? Which of the following approach can be employed to reduce complement activation on biomaterial surface? Anybody would like to answer? Okay. The correct option is second option and fifth option. Reduce surface nucleophiles and heparin adsorption to the surface. So these are the ways to minimize complement activation by biomaterials. First is less surface nucleophiles, which leads to reduced binding of C3b to the surface, and then binding of C5a, thereby reducing patient exposure. So C5a is the primary cause of inflammation. C5a is the primary cause of inflammation and other deleterious reactions. So binding of C5a will reduce the complement activation. And then the last one is heparin adsorption to the membrane that acts through another protein, factor H, to inactivate C3 convertase. Okay, next question. Which of the following factors can cleave fibrin in vivo? Plasmogen, fibrin, fibrinogen, plasmin, prothrombin, thrombin, factor 8, or factor 12.
Plasmin. Fourth option,
Pla-
plasmin.
Okay.
Plasmin.
Okay.
Fourth option, plasma.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, you guys are all correct. It is plasmin. Plasmin can cleave fibrin in vivo. So the next question, fifth question. Pick the incorrect statement regarding cytokine. You have to select two options that are incorrect. Cytokines are small lipid molecules that are released by various cells in the body, usually in response to an activating stimulus. Cytokines can act in an autocrine manner so that it affects the same cell type that release the cytokines. Cytokines can act in a paracrine manner so that the cytokines affect the behavior of adjacent cells. Some cytokines can have enhanced bioactivity when conjugated to molecules like polyethylene glycol. Cytokines are highly potent proteins that bind to their cognate receptors and induce downstream signaling cascades in the respective cells. Or cytokines in their active forms are always pure peptide chains without sugar or lipid moieties, which is incorrect regarding cytokine.
2 and 5.
2 and 5. Okay. Others? Yes. Anybody has any other answer? You have to select two incorrect statements regarding cytokines here. Okay. The correct answer is first and last option. Cytokines are lipid molecules that are released by various cells in the body, usually in response to an activity stimulus. This is an incorrect option. Rather, cytokines are proteins, small proteins that are released by various cells in the body. And cytokines in their active forms are always pure peptide chains without sugar or lipid moieties. This is not always true. They might be modified with sugar and lipid moieties. So cytokines are basically small proteins that are released by various cells in the body, and they can act in an autocrine manner or paracrine manner. Some cytokines can also act in an endocrine manner. The next question. Inflammation facilitates the onset of extravasation. Select two correct options. It refers to the process of macrophages clearing the dead cells in the vicinity of damaged tissue. It refers to the process of phagocytosis of pathogens that would have entered the body through an open wound. It is the upregulation of adhesion molecules on endothelial cells followed by the release of chemotactic factors. Extravasation is the partitioning of cells into different blood vessels based on the concentration gradient of the chemoattractant. During the process, the velocity of the blood flow decreases and allows for cells to interact with endothelium. It involves the process of migration of neutrophils through the endothelial layer.
Option 5 and 6.
Option 5 and 6. Okay. Anybody else?
Option 3 and 6.
3 and 6. Okay.
Option 3 and 6.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So here the correct answer is during the last two options, but that is during the process the velocity of blood flow decreases and allows for cells to interact with endothelium. It involves the process of migration of neutrophils through endothelial layer. But the third option, that is, it is the upregulation of adhesion molecules on endothelial cells followed by release of chemotactic factors, is also correct. So if you guys have gotten this option as wrong, then you guys can put in the forum regarding this option, because even I think that the third option, and the last two options are correct. All the three options are correct. So extravasation is basically the decreased blood flow, which allows leukocytes to interact with the endothelium, and via rolling adhesion initiated by the interactions between the carbohydrate moieties of selectins, moieties and selectins, it allows for strong interaction between the ICAM1 and immune cell receptors. And then the rolling is arrested and extravasation begins. But before this, there is upregulation of adhesion molecules on endothelial cells, followed by chemotactic factors, release of chemotactic factors. I don't know if they'll give you correct for all these three options, but yeah, these three options are correct. Third, fifth, and sixth. Okay, next question. What is the role of platelets during blood clotting? You have to select two correct options. Stimulate the clotting of blood and wound healing, formation of a clot by reacting with plasminogen, release variety of chemical mediators that promote clotting and healing of damaged tissue, transport of oxygen, generation of pro-inflammatory molecules, generate pro-fibrosis molecules, and formation of giant macrophages. What is the role of platelets? Yes?
I think 1 and 6.
Sorry?
1 and 6.
1 and 6. Anyone else?
First and third.
First and third. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. First and third options are correct. Platelets stimulate the clotting of blood and wound healing, and it release variety of chemical mediators that promote clotting and healing of damaged tissue. So these are the three functions. It reacts with ECM, extracellular matrix proteins, when blood vessels are severed or with biomaterial surfaces, and it releases variety of chemical mediators, and it stimulates coagulation and wound healing. Okay. Next question. We wish to generate an osteoconductive implant by coating it with fibronectin. For this purpose, an aqueous solution of fibronectin was prepared. Assuming the surface of the implant is positively charged, how should we change the pH of the solution so that is large amount of fibronectin is attached to the surface? Your options are: make pH less than 5.75, pH greater than 5.75 at 37, greater than 5.75 at 25, do not change pH, pH equal to 5.75 at 37, pH less than 5.75 at 37, pH less than 5.75 at 25 degrees. Yes, anyone? Anybody would like to answer? It's fine even if it's the wrong answer. You can speak up.
Option 5.
Option 5. Okay. So the surface of the implant is positively charged and your solution contains fibronectin. So how will you change the solution to make it more negatively charged so that it attracts to the positively charged implant? Which of these options will make your solution more negatively charged?
Option A.
Option A. Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, ma'am. First option.
Okay.
Option A, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Let's see the answer. The correct answer is second option, that is make pH more than 5.75 at 37 degrees. So, if you're selecting pH less than 5.75, you are reducing the pH than the PI of fibronectin. When there is low pH, there is more hydrogen ions. That will, so it will be more positively charged because that will, the uh, the NH2 positive charge of the proteins or the amino acids will attract more hydrogen ions, and it will become NH3 positive. So the fibronectin will become more positively charged. But if you increase the pH, more than 5.75, it will be, so more OH minus ions will be in the solution, and so it will remove the positive charge from your protein. Then your protein will become more negatively charged at pH more than 5.75. And you want this at 37 degrees. Sorry, is it? You want it at 37 degrees because it's an implant. You are going to uh, implant it in vivo. So that is body temperature 37. So the correct option would be make pH more than 5.75 at 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, next question. Which of the following is not a physiological event occurring during inflammation? You have to select two correct options. Vasodilation, increase in diameter of the capillaries of local vasculature, increase in capillary permeability, an influx of protein-rich fluid and cells at the site of inflammation, swelling, reduction in temperature at the site of inflammation, pain at the site of inflammation, an influx of leukocytes and phagocytic cells to the tissue, migration of immune cells away from the site of inflammation. Which of this is not a physiological event? Yes.
Ma'am, fifth option.
5 and 8.
5 and 8. Okay.
Reduction in temperature at the site of inflammation and migration of immune cells away from the site of inflammation.
Okay.
During inflammation, definitely temperature will be more, heat will be produced, no. But whereas they had given reduction in the temperature, maybe that may be wrong option.
Okay. Anybody else would like to answer?
5 and 8, ma'am.
5 and 8.
Okay. Yes, you guys are all correct. Reduction in temperature at the site of inflammation and migration of immune cells away from the site of inflammation. Rather than migration of immune cells away from the site, it attracts more immune cells to the site of inflammation. And someone already explained reduction in temperature at the site of it. Rather than there will be an increase in temperature at the site of inflammation. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is not an action of the complement system? You have to select two correct options. Trigger inflammation, repel infiltrating leukocytes from the site of infection or inflammation, attract phagocytes by moonlighting as chemoattractants. The same option is repeated again. Promote the attachment of antigens to phagocytes, protect foreign objects or organisms from degradation, cause lysis of gram-negative bacteria in human cells displaying foreign epitopes, remove harmful immune complexes from the body. Not an action of complement system.
I think 2 and 5.
Second and fifth.
2 and 5. Repeat and wait, okay. Second and 6, okay. Anybody else? Which two options are not action of complement system?
Ma'am, there is an option in the assignment naming opsonization,
Opsonization, okay.
but that is not present here. So that was the wrong option, opsonization.
I see. This is the previous year assignment. Some of the questions are repeated, so I'm not sure if they completely repeated the question or the options. But you can tell me what what is the correct option here? Which one you think is the correct option? Okay.
Second and sixth option.
Okay. Yes, second and sixth option are correct. Repel infiltrating leukocytes from the site of inflammation. Rather, it will attract the leukocytes and protect foreign objects or organism from degradation. No, it won't protect. Rather, it would degrade foreign objects and organism. Yes. Anybody has any doubt in the questions we discussed till now? Or else I'll repeat again for those who joined late.
Yes, ma'am. Kindly repeat starting questions, please.
Yes, I'll repeat. But anybody has any question any doubt in whatever we discussed till now? Those who joined from the very beginning? Okay, I guess not. Okay, let's start from the beginning again. So the first question was this: which of the following options represent the correct chronology of events in inflammation? So here the correct option would be vasodilation, followed by edema, influx of leukocytes, clearance, and healing. So in vasodilation, there is increase in diameter of the capillaries and redness, followed by edema, wherein increase in capillary permeability leads to more influx of protein-rich fluids and cells and leads to swelling and pain. This is followed by influx of leukocytes and phagocytic cells into the tissue, and then healing or tissue regeneration or formation of new capillaries and scar tissue. So the first option is the correct answer. Next question. The three arms of the complement cascade converge at a protein complex known as. The correct answer here would be C3 convertase. The three arms of the complement cascades are the classical pathway, the alternative pathway, and the lectin mediated pathway. All these three pathways intersect at C3 convertase. I hope I'm audible and you guys are able to see the screen. Can someone confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So third question, which of the following approach can be employed to reduce complement activation on a biomaterial surface? You have to select two correct options. Reduce surface nucleophiles and heparin adsorption to the surface. These two will be the correct options. So the three ways that can be used to minimize complement activation is less surface nucleophiles, binding of C5a, thereby reducing patient exposure, and heparin adsorption to the membrane. So here C5b was given. If it was C5a, this would have been an correct option as well. Next question. Which of the following factors can cleave fibrin in vivo? So out of these options, plasmin is the correct option. Plasmin can cleave fibrin in vivo. Fifth question. Pick the incorrect statement regarding cytokines. Cytokines are small lipid molecules that released by various cells in the body, usually in response to activating stimulus. This is an incorrect option. Cytokines are small protein molecules that are released by various cells in the body. Cytokines can act in an autocrine manner, correct. Cytokines can act in a paracrine manner, correct. Some cytokines can have enhanced bioactivity when conjugated to molecules like PEG, correct? Cytokines are highly potent proteins that bind to their cognate receptors and induce downstream signaling cascades in the respective cells, correct? Cytokines in their active form are always pure peptide chains without sugar and lipid moieties. This is another wrong statement. It may not be always pure peptide chains. So cytokines are small lipid molecules that are released by various cells in the body, usually in response to activating stimulus. And cytokines in their active forms are always pure peptide chains without sugar and lipid moieties are the two incorrect options about cytokines. Cytokines are basically small proteins that are released by various cells in the body, and they can act in autocrine, paracrine, and sometimes in an endocrine manner. The next question. Inflammation facilitates the onset of extravasation. You have to select two correct options here. It refers to the process of macrophages clearing the dead cells in the vicinity of damaged tissue. No. It refers to the process of phagocytosis of pathogens that would have entered the body through an open wound. No. It is the upregulation of adhesion molecules on endothelial cells followed by the release of chemotactic factors. Correct. Extravasation is the partitioning of cells into different blood vessels based on the concentration gradient of the chemoattractant. No. During the process, the velocity of blood flow decreases and allows for cells to interact with the endothelium. Correct. It involves a process of migration of neutrophils through endothelial layer. Correct. So here, instead of two, there are three correct options actually. It is the upregulation of adhesion molecules on endothelial cells, followed by release of chemotactic factors. And during the process, the velocity of blood flow decreases and allows for cells to interact with endothelium. It involves the process of migration of neutrophils through endothelial layer. So this is a previous year assignment, and these two were correct options, but the third option is also correct. So in extravasation, first there is decreased blood flow that allows rolling adhesion. Cells will roll and then interact with selectin. There will be interaction between the carbohydrate moieties and selectin. And after interaction, this rolling will be arrested and then it will extravasate into the vicinity. Next question. What is the role of platelets during blood clotting? You have to select two correct options. It stimulates the clotting of blood and wound healing. Correct. It leads to formation of a clot by reacting with plasminogen. No. Releases variety of chemical mediators that promote clotting and healing of damaged tissue. Correct. Transport of oxygen, generation of pro-inflammatory molecules, pro-fibrosis molecules, formation of giant macrophages. These are all incorrect options. So, stimulation of clotting of blood and wound healing and release of variety of chemical mediators that promote clotting and healing of damaged tissue are the correct options or the roles of platelets. Platelets react with the ECM proteins when blood vessels are severed or with biometal surfaces, and it releases variety of chemical mediators from granules, and it stimulates coagulation and wound healing. Now the eighth question. We wish to generate an osteoconductive implant by coating it with fibronectin. For this purpose, an aqueous solution of fibronectin was prepared. Assuming the surface of the implant is positively charged, how should we change the pH of the solution so that it is large amount of fibronectin is attached to surface? So here the correct option would be make pH greater than 5.75 at 37 degrees. So here the implant is positively charged and you have to make the solution more negatively charged so that more and more fibronectin get attached to the positively charged implants. And to make the solution more negatively charged, you can use this information pi of fibronectin, which is 5.75, and if you increase the pH more than the pi, then the solution will be more negatively charged. So the second option, that is pH greater than 5.75 at 37 degrees, will be the correct option. I hope I am still audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so ninth question was, which of the following is not a physiological event occurring during inflammation? Vasodilation or increase in diameter of capillaries of local vasculature, increase in capillary permeability, an influx of protein-rich fluid and cells at the site of inflammation, swelling, reduction in temperature at the site of inflammation, pain at the site of inflammation, an influx of leukocytes and phagocytic cells to the tissue, migration of immune cells away from the site of inflammation. So here it is asking not a physiological event during inflammation. So reduction in temperature at the site of inflammation, this is not correct. There is rather there is an increase in temperature at the site of inflammation. Also migration of immune cells away from the site of inflammation. Rather it attracts more and more immune cells to the site of inflammation. So these two options will be the correct answer. Reduction in temperature at the site of inflammation and migration of immune cells away from the site of inflammation. And the next question, or the last question, which of the following is not an action of the complement system? You have to select two correct options. Triggers inflammation, repel infiltrating leukocytes from the site of infection or inflammation, attract phagocytes by moonlighting as chemoattractants, promote the attachment of antigens to phagocytes, protect foreign objects or organisms from degradation, cause lysis of gram-negative bacteria in human cells displaying foreign epitopes, remove harmful immune complexes from the body. So it is asking for not an action. So here repel infiltrating leukocytes from the site of infection or inflammation is not a correct option. It does not repel, rather it attracts the infiltrating leukocytes, and it protects foreign body objects or organism from degradation. It does not protect foreign bodies, rather it leads to degradation of the foreign objects or organisms. These two options will be correct, second and sixth. Okay. Okay, any doubt in any of the questions we discussed till now?
No, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody has any other doubt or wants me to repeat any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Any doubts? Miss Uzma Manzoor, do you have any doubt in any of the questions that we discussed today? Do you want me to repeat any question? Or shall we close the session? Miss Uzma Manzoor?